Hey friend, I wanted to come on and tell a little more about my story as a mom because I feel like we go through hard things for a purpose, and that purpose is to help others. So when I went through something that was really hard, I anguished over why me? Why me? We ask ourselves that a lot, right? When we go through tough things. And what happened to me was actually this day 13 years ago. It's hard to believe. It's so hard to believe how time just is crazy how it flies. And I didn't, the funny thing is, not funny, but ironic thing is that I didn't even mean to record this video on the anniversary day of this event, but it just planets aligned as to that I was called to do it today. So, what I want to share is about losing our baby on this day in 2006. Yeah, so 13 years ago. We did not have, my husband and I did not have children at the time, and we had been trying only for a short time. So it was a pleasant surprise to be pregnant, and started doing my research on providers, and a friend who I had worked with recommended a doctor, and I had I don't know, probably one visit with him, and then it was time for an ultrasound. And looking back, the ultrasound tech was actually no, it wasn't time for the ultrasound. It was time for just to hear the baby's heartbeat. And the nurse midwife was doing the check, the heartbeat check, and she was very stoic. She wasn't. She didn't come across worried at all. She stayed upbeat and everything, and she said, I want to refer you for an ultrasound at the hospital because they didn't have the ultrasound machine there in the office. And I'm a very positive person, and so I really didn't think much of it, and I said, okay, and got that scheduled and went in, and they did not find the heartbeat. So it was the most difficult thing I've ever been through. And so I just want to share about this because I know at different parts of our life we go through, we just have these hard things that happen, and God puts it on us, I think, for that purpose of helping others. And I'm even getting teary about it now, 13 years later. Things like that are very hard to talk about, and we need to talk about them because that's how we find strength. That's how we connect and build those bridges to others, right? I very clearly remember feeling like I would never come out of the grief, of that raw grief, that's with you really early after a loss. But of course, grief is always with us, right? It's not it's not it's not being stuck. It's not being stuck in grief. Grief is a process. Grief is always part of our ongoing growth when we have a loss. And so I remember clearly feeling like very alone. My husband and I hadn't been married for very long, only a few years, and it was difficult to talk to him about it. I feel like he just wanted me to stop crying. He was just tired of the grief and watching me hurt. Of course he was hurt too, but it's different. Did find some really great programs to help us with our loss through the hospital, a pregnancy and loss group, which were wonderful. And then later found a birth circle after we did become pregnant again with our oldest, with our son. We found a birth circle that was very healing and helping us have confidence in that next pregnancy. And so having a miscarriage as your first pregnancy obviously can be a very difficult kind of road than when you have a baby in your home. Not to say that minimizes a loss at all when you have a living child. It's just a different road, right? So I just want to put this out there into the universe to say, please reach out if you feel alone. I want to help you walk that. I have written blogs about this, and they are out there in my blogosphere somewhere, and I'll be happy to dig that up as well. So thank you for tuning into this. Definitely talking these things like this out are very healing in itself, even many, many years later. So yes, reach out and talk about this if you need to, because I felt like it wasn't talked about enough at all even 13 years ago. It's gotten better, but we need to continue discussing losses, and especially pregnancy loss, because it's so very difficult, and you can hear so many very, very, very hurtful things after that kind of a loss, because it's extremely difficult to understand, because nobody's met that baby, right? It doesn't feel like, for some people, it doesn't feel like a real kind of a loss. And why are you so sad? Why are you hurting so much? You didn't know that baby, right? There's some really hurtful things that can be said, and I don't want you to feel alone. The other thing I wanted to kind of state here was that the other piece of it is that I very strongly asked why. You never truly know why unless you are able to diagnose, a true cause of infertility. But so when it's these other strange kind of occurrences, the only real explanation is, well, DNA did not work for life to be able to continue, and so nature took its course and essentially took care of it, right? That's a good enough explanation, I suppose, but what if there's something deeper? Like, what if there's something external? So I remember really looking inward, like, what did I do wrong? And that's a very difficult place to be as well. But when you're looking for answers, that was kind of like the only thing that I had was, what did I do wrong? And so as I did my research, I looked really strongly into my environment, and what I found out was that there was more work that I could do in my environment with things that I was using around my body. So different environment ingredients. So what I'm saying is household ingredients, personal care products, perfumes, fragrances. So after I finished college at JMU, I did a year of volunteer service with Lutheran Volunteer Corps. And that was when I was really first taught some major lessons about different ways to use natural products, that we don't need to use harsh chemicals for everyday use in our homes. And so I was aware to use natural things like cleaning with vinegar and things like that, but I just hadn't eliminated a ton of them out of my life yet. It's a process once you start down that journey. And so now, 13 years later, I have eliminated a ton of harsh chemicals out of our life and in our home. And so, especially this time of year, around the anniversary date, I do think a lot about it and wonder if what things that I did caused it. Meaning things that I was using, products I was using, chemicals I was using, things that I was exposing to, alcohol and so forth. Not that I had a drinking problem, but your mind just goes there. It's almost impossible not to kind of think that. So that's it. I just wanted to get that out there, and have a blessed day. Reach out, shoot me a message if you want to chat about any of these questions and things going through your mind. It can feel very lonely, and don't want you to feel alone. Take care.